Hello and welcome back to my channel, and welcome back to another tag, but not a revisit tag. This is not a tag that I have done before, but also this is a tag that I have been tagged in within the last month. Genuinely so proud of myself for getting to this tag now. The knitting tag is a tag created by Cara from Wild Book Garden, who is just the most adorable little bean and is really getting back into knitting. So I love that she's created a whole tag specifically for this, and I'm really excited to be getting to it because the questions are really good. First question is cast off. What section of a bookshop do you start? Where do you find your books? Where do you start when you start book shopping? Now, my answer is probably going to be very different from Cara's, who said that she will head to certain sections, but she likes to go and kind of blind when she's buying books. I am not that girl. I like to research. I like to research heavily. I like to think about what books I'm going to be reading next. I like to think about what projects I have in advance. And I also like to know as much about the book as I possibly can going in. Spoilers don't bother me. I sometimes need trigger warnings to certain things. So all of that information, I just collect it. I just amass this. So I will check on Goodreads. I will look on my distributor's website. I will look at new releases. I will keep an eye on the bookseller. I keep an eye on Twitter. Everywhere. So by the time that I actually wander into a bookshop, a real life indie, if I need to, if I can't get something in for myself through my bookshop, I kind of already know what's going to be there. I'm not necessarily surprised by something, and it's really nice to see what books they're championing because I get to see it through their eyes as opposed to mine and all my research. So yeah, I'm an intense little bean, but that's where I like to start. The second prompt is Knit, a super hyped book that absolutely lived up to the hype. I would say The Cruel Prince. I know that this is a very divisive book, and I feel like a lot of people are talking about it again. One, because the fourth book is coming out, and also because Holly Black did not do great with The Book of Night. However, The Cruel Prince was one of the first books that I started and finished in a day. I just devoured this story. I really liked the way the Fae were portrayed in this, and I really like the fact that the main character is such a kind of shoot first, ask questions after kind of protagonist. She does not spend a lot of time in her feelings, and I found that really refreshing. I thought it was really fast paced, action heavy, and just a great time. It absolutely lived up to the hype. For me, I know that's not the case for everyone, but I adored this book. The next prompt is Purl, a character from a fandom that is totally underrepresented, underloved, deserves more credit. And I want to talk about a character in Lore Olympus, and that is Cordon Bleu. Cordon Bleu is a little dog who is just the feistiest little bean you've ever seen, and just super cute. And in my opinion, I mean, just the fact that they are described as pure rage. My favourite fictional dog ever. I just think they're small, they're fluffy, they're angry. I love them. I love them so much. I love them so much. But whenever anyone talks about Lore Olympus, they talk about how amazing the characters are, and how amazing the plot development is, and how it really humanises a lot of Greek myth, and it's really fun, and it's really like romantic and shit like that, and it deals with sexual assault really well. No one ever mentions the dog. No one ever mentions the dog. The dogs are great, and he's got like 8 of them, but like Cordon Bleu, top tier dog. The next prompt is Chart, a book or author that you've been meaning to get to for a while and you just haven't. For me, it is both The Year of the Witching and Alexis Henderson. I have recently bought myself House of Hunger because I know I'm going to love this author. I know I'm going to love this book. I already know that I'm going to love the witchy vibes. I picked it up once for Gothtober a couple of years ago. This was gifted to me from Ashley from Frolic Through Fiction, and I just haven't finished it. And I don't know why I haven't got to this book and prioritized it. I need to do that very soon because I'm obsessed with this cover. I'm obsessed with the vibes. This and House of Hunger, I just think they're going to be great, and I can't tell you why I haven't got there yet, other than just my own self-sabotage, I guess, because I know I'm going to love it. I know I'm going to love it. So this one. So the next prompt is a series you can read out of order and a series that you can't. I'm really bad at reading series out of order. I really don't like it. I like to have my world set up for me in book one and kind of go from there. But I would say that pretty much any Terry Pratchett book can be read as a standalone. I think that's kind of universally acknowledged. As for a series that I would not recommend reading out of order, any of them, please don't read series out of order. Maybe the Evelyn Jones series, they're a good time. They can probably be read out of order, but I think it would help. I think it would help if you knew who the characters were, which is very much established. Do you know what I mean? My brain doesn't want to read things out of order. Give me order, because I'm chaotic enough as it is. Next is a book that you heard terrible reviews for but ended up loving anyway. Technically, I heard the terrible reviews after I'd already decided that I loved this book, but Ruined Song is a mess. Objectively, it's a mess. It's very fast paced. There's a lot going on, and there's literally child torture on page 1. But I thought it was a great time. I had a great time with this one. I thought it was really fun, fast-paced, chaotic. It's enemies to lovers. Well, technically it's friends to enemies to lovers. It's sapphic. It has Phantom of the Opera themes. I thought it had a lot going for it. Loads of people gave it 3 stars or less. I gave it 5 stars. I thought it was a great time. Next is a trope you can't stand. And it's not that I can't think of one, it's that I have to narrow it down to one. Tropes that I can't stand. I hate plot twists that aren't bedded in, but that's really more down to writing and structure. I hate books that start and or end with a dream. I hate books where there's misogyny for no fucking reason. I hate fantasies where for some reason men and women aren't equal. Why? Why? Oh, it's a medieval themed fantasy. Why? Even the Vikings had women that were equal to them. What are you talking about? Shield maidens were a thing. Like, okay, alright. Things that are trying to be more pretentious than they are. It's not really a trope. I don't massively love Victorian Gothic, but I feel like it's because all those things I've just described are in Victorian Gothic. I don't mind a trope in general, it's just vibes I don't like, and all the previous things I mentioned, which aren't tropes so much as structural things. So, yeah. Bad structure, if bad structure's a trope. The next prompt is Gage, a author who is always a good fit for you. Silvia Moreno Garcia. There's not been a single book of theirs that I've picked up and not loved. I've not read all of these. I'm getting there, but I love their writing. And it's one of those, she's one of those writers where her writing, I don't know why I thought they need to pick up all of them. I really don't. But I'm now holding them like a baby. She's one of those authors where I just adore everything that she writes. And even if it takes me forever to get through it, I really enjoy sinking into her writing and sinking into her world. Author by author. Every time, to be honest. Every time. The next prompt is to share a specific scene with no spoilers that sticks in your mind. And if you've watched my most recent witchy vlog, there is a scene that I talk about where someone is watching someone else do something. I think about that quite a bit actually. Yeah, more than I thought I would. Next is, do you have any bookish taste buddies? So people that like the same sort of books as you. Absolutely. Absolutely. I feel like when it comes to thrillers, I trust Tish implicitly. When it comes to fantasy and sci-fi, I go to Becca for recommendations every time. Lizzie and I have very differing tastes, but we seem to have very, like, we tend to pick up different books, but we have similar opinions on the books that we pick up at the same time, and we very much kind of view, we're very, very hypercritical, which I think is really funny. Kelly from Velvet Library and her sultry gothic vibe, I absolutely adore any book she recommends me, and I feel like I buddy read a lot with Celine and Hannah, and obviously did the book club with Abby and Becca. Olivia, when it comes to contemporaries and kind of novels in verse and stuff, I feel like we've got very similar tastes, and again we have very exacting ideas on what it is we expect from certain books. I feel like all of those buds, I feel like we have very similar reading tastes, and I'm here for it. Next is a book that sounded perfect for you on paper but just didn't work out. Extasia by Claire Legrand. Everything about this book, the Crucible vibes, the Salem vibes, the witchy vibes, all of that, sapphic vibes. I should have adored it, and I didn't. I hated it. It made me so angry. It was so beyond puritanical that I hated all of the characters, and then the plot twist pissed me off. It was not bedded in, it was not set up, it just made me angry. Did not work out. 10 out of 10 would not recommend. Next is recommend a book that is kind of a gentle entryway to your favourite genre. I will go with The Deathless Girls and Gothic Fiction. The Deathless Girls is a Dracula retelling that is a sapphic YA, focusing on Dracula's wives and travellers in Romania, Roman myth, etc. Very much looking at a BIPOC and LGBT retelling of Dracula, and I absolutely adore it. The vibes are immaculate, and it's one of those ones where if you're like, I would like to try Gothic, but it seems really intimidating, this is a great place to start, because it has all of the tropes that you need, but a far gentler writing style. It's not too dense, it's a very short read, and it moves really quickly through the narrative, and you can just, yeah, like I said, the vibes are immaculate. The next prompt is an author that you don't think gets nearly enough recognition, and I'm going to go with Mia Souza, who is the author of The Worst Best Man, which is the first in the series, and The Wedding Crasher, which is the second in the series. It's just this book was easier, it was to hand. The Wedding Crasher and Worst Best Man are both wedding-focused romances with Latinx main characters. They are saucy, they are steamy, they are sassy, they are sarcastic, they are such a fun time. But I hear people talking about Talia Hibbert, rightfully so. I hear people talking about Christina Lauren and Tessa Bailey. I have never heard anyone other than me talking about Mia Souza, and I think Mia Souza's writing is just fun. If you like those authors, you will adore these books, and I just don't think she gets the hype she deserves. If she could release another book very soon, that would be great, because if I could just have a cheeky little Mia Souza summer every year, I'd love that. Okay, so the next thing is a weirdly specific thing that you like in books, tropes, construction, etc. For me, it is obnoxiously yellow, bright covers. Some with pink. They do like to have pink on it as well, don't they? Yellow and pink. So I know that it used to be a case of the yellow cover in old Gothic classics was to intentionally make books look like they had come from a foreign country, whether they were French or Italian. So they were a little bit naughty because obviously when they were coming out, we were at war with France. So there was a whole vibe about European books kind of coming to the UK in these yellow covers so that it was more scandalous if people were reading them. And I just love the idea of having a bright yellow shelf of scandalous books, because all three of these have some kind of scandal in them, and I kind of love that. So yeah, definitely bright yellow. I know what I'm getting. I know I'm going to get a Gothic vibe, and it's obnoxiously yellow, and it just makes me really happy. And then of course the final prompt is to tag people. I will be tagging Cats with Camera because they have been all up in my mentions recently and I just want to return the favour. I will be tagging Charlotte, whose channel name escapes me but again has been tagging me recently, and I just want to promote them as well. I'll put all their details down below, and I will probably add, and I'll add Kelly from Velvet Library, because I don't think she knits, but I know she embroiders, so I feel like this would be her vibe as well. Let me know in the comments down below an answer to one of these prompts from the tag. I will put the tag down below as well. Treat yourself to something from Waypoint because it helps support me and my content. Make sure to like and subscribe, and most importantly, have a nice day.